Hi everyone, I want to welcome you to my presentation today on career counseling for individuals with learning disabilities. Today we're going to talk about topics such as careers that people with learning disabilities are steered towards, preparation for getting them into the workforce, assumptions that people have about them in the workforce, issues that they face in the workplace, and skills that they need help building in order to be successful in the workplace, along with some resources that they can use when entering the workforce. I want to start off with the definition of a learning disability. According to the New York State Education Department, a learning disability is a disorder in one or more of the central nervous system processes involved in perceiving, understanding, and or using concepts through verbal, language, or nonverbal means. This disorder manifests itself with a deficit in one or more of the following areas: attention, reasoning, processing, memory, communication, reading, writing, spelling, calculation, coordination, social competence, and emotional maturity. This can have an impact on one's career because it impairs their lack of insight. They have inadequate awareness of their strengths and weaknesses and an inability to monitor their performance. Careers in which individuals with learning disabilities are turned towards are careers in healthcare support positions, trade or vocational jobs, food service positions, or entrepreneurial positions. And this is all because these positions are ones where you can create your own schedule and have a larger amount of flexibility, and they're easier to make accommodations for people of differing abilities. Some preparations and encouragement that people with learning disabilities might need are to build off skills that they already have, which involves doing an assessment of what kind of skills they already are good at and see what tasks they can do to build upon them. You also want to give them opportunities out in the work field that are before they get a professional position. These might include volunteer opportunities or training opportunities with agencies of the person's interest. You also want them to make connections not only in the workforce of the area in which they're interested in working in, but also with community supports who can step in and help them be successful in the workplace. You also want to steer them towards a career that they're going to be passionate about, something that they're interested in, something that they're going to connect with. So they want to work towards being successful at that. Some assumptions that people out in society make about people with learning disabilities is they are of low intelligence, which is a false statement because a person with a learning disability does not have a low intelligence. They just have a issue with processing information. They also assume that they are lazy and that they have a lack of motivation, but in reality, they have a hard time retaining information. So, areas of like academics and professional areas are difficult for them to manage. People also assume that everybody with a learning disability is the same and they all have the same ability, which is not true because they all have different processing levels and may be affected differently by their learning disability. They also assume that they have lack of willpower or put less effort into working. And this is not true. They just need the appropriate accommodations in order for them to overcome challenges within the workforce. Many people in society feel like people with a learning disability are faking their disability because they can't see it. Um, and they feel like a disability is something that should be able to see. They also have limited social skills, so they have a hard time making connections with people. But once you get to know them and they come out of their shell, they are great at maintaining relationships. Some issues that people with learning disabilities face in the workforce are things such as discrimination, harassment, failure to accommodate, and they get fired because they are unable to do their job. They face verbal harassment about their disability. They also are discriminated against and get not given as much work or not being part of certain areas of a job because of their based off of their ability. And many times bosses don't make the appropriate accommodations, so they are not successful and end up losing their job. People with learning disabilities fall under the protection of ADA qualifications, which means they get the same protections as anybody else with a physical or intellectual disability. Some skills which are important for them to have and which they have a hard time with are their communication skills, their interpersonal skills, cognition, mobility, self-care, self-direction, work tolerance, and work skills. Some important ones to point out here would be their mobility would be how teaching them how to get back and forth to work. Not necessarily the way they move their body or anything physical, it's just how they would get to work. That's something they need to be educated on. We also need to teach them about time management and making sure that they're at work on time and they're completing all their tasks in an appropriate time. We also need to focus on things like the work skills, like how you behave in the workplace, and making sure that once you pick a job that you are going to be able to tolerate the workplace and the work that you are being given. Some resources for people with learning disabilities to look into when they're needing help getting into the working field could be connecting with their local Access VR office, which does career counseling, job coaching, getting you connected to jobs, just building you up to be successful. They also can help you continue your education. And then LD Online is a great resource and has tons of information about learning disabilities and how to get a job and what skills you need, and can link you to a ton of other resources. These are the references that I used for my presentation. And that's the end. Thank you for watching.